Today on the Zero Noise podcast, we're facing down one of the ugliest monsters of the marketing world, cold calling. If you're like most people, you're immediately put in mind of skeevy scammers and dial-for-dollar telemarketers working in a vast sea of cubicles. Well, prepare to have your illusions of cold calling shattered. In today's episode, my friend Marc Didemus of Image Advantage reveals the shocking truth. Telephone sales is not only highly effective, but it's still the weapon of choice for many professional business-to-business salespeople. Buckle up, put on a helmet, and join me as we interrogate a 20-year telephone professional on how he's driven his business to the peak of success. This is the Zero Noise Podcast. So we have unusually bad sound quality in this episode because we are at the Kingston Yacht Club. So we could go down almost any rabbit hole when it comes to sales and marketing with Marc, but I've chosen today the one that I like the least, which is outbound phone selling, which is something that Marc is very good at. And we had a little preemptive conversation before the recording, and I found that Marc's answers were surprising quite often, even though I have a background in phone selling myself. But Marc is way better at it than me, so we'll just listen to him. Yeah, so our first question is, so what do you do to get yourself into the right mindset to start doing cold outreach by phone?
So you're saying that if I'm 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm done some other tasks and I want to get on the phone and do telephone marketing, what do I do to prepare for that?
That's right.
Mentally?
Yes.
Zero. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
So
that's one of those surprising answers.
Exactly right. So I know a lot of people might have to psych themselves up or do this or do that or sing or hum mantras or whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't do any of that because telephone marketing. I'm a sales professional. I've been doing sales for over 30 years. And telephone marketing is just something that I do, probably 20 hours a week or so. And so if you think I have a big pile of wood sitting on my property, and we heat our house with wood, and one of my tasks is to take that big pile of 12-foot logs and turn them into nice firewood and
manageable sizes,
right?
Yeah.
So step number one is pick up the chainsaw and put fuel in the chainsaw, right? And do you really need to do hum a mantra or whatever to get psyched to do that type of task?
No.
And so in my mind, telephone marketing or physical cold calling or any of those things are exactly the same. They're a job. You do the job day in, day out. My job is to keep the number of people that we have at Image Advantage employed and to keep work coming in. So when I pick up the phone and start doing telephone marketing, it's just a job like any other job, and I don't even really think about getting ready for it.
So how many hours a day do you do that?
Depending. So my whole purpose of all of the telephone marketing, etc., is to make an appointment with my client.
Right.
So if everything's working 100%, then I'm spending no time doing telephone marketing.
Okay.
I'm sitting in clients' offices.
Right.
But performing sales with them, but of course that's not the way it works. You'd have to make those appointments, right?
When you're filling the pipeline, though.
Yeah. So I'm probably, on an average week, I'm probably spending 20 hours or so on the phone.
So you're averaging about 4
maybe
hours.
A little less. Maybe, let's say 15.
The reason why I'm bringing that up is because I've done telemarketing sales, selling almost everything you can imagine, and when you're new to it, nobody looks forward to it, particularly when you're bad at it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you obviously didn't start out that way, but you built up the muscle, and that was the goal, is to get to a point where you didn't have to psych yourself up.
Correct.
It became a natural part of your schedule. When you need the pipeline full, you could just dig in and do your 4 hours a day.
Right. And I do sort of remember when I started doing telephone marketing. And at that time, I was working for a company called Tandy Computers.
Oh, man.
Tandy owned Radio Shack.
That makes me feel old.
Exactly right. So it makes you feel old. Yeah. So I was selling the first IBM compatible PCs.
Wow.
Right? And so that was in a computer store in Kingston, the Tandy Computer Center in Kingston.
Yep.
Some old people might remember that, but older Kingstonians. And one of the things that Tandy was brought in was the new cell phones.
Okay.
Right? And these items were something like that, big beastie things, and a 10 of this long. And the new manager, our manager for the store, because we weren't doing any telephone marketing at that point, said, okay, when you guys have some quiet hours, I want you getting on the phone and doing telephone marketing of these cell phones, right? And I think we sold one.
Okay.
And that's right. So picking up the phone and doing that type of marketing was new to us.
Right.
We had zero training on it, which is sort of unfortunate. And that's what we had to do. Is just we had to pick up the phone and figure out how to do it.
Right.
Again, it would have been nice if somebody showed us properly how to do it.
Right.
But and I do remember vaguely back then being quite nervous about it and picking up the phone and doing that. But nowadays I don't think about it at all. And sort of the nice thing is that when I am on the phone, I don't think about it at all.
Yeah.
I've made thousands, or tens of thousands anyway, of telephone marketing calls. I've been with the same company, which I founded back in 1998. I've sold the company in 2014, but stayed on as sales and marketing manager. So still doing the same thing, basically. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing the same sales tasks with telephone marketing for 20 years.
Right. 20 years.
20 years.
Okay.
Right. So when I pick up the phone and go to make that sales call, I am not actively thinking about what I got to say.
Okay.
So the words happily fall out of my mouth.
Right.
And that's pretty much how the whole phone call goes. Is I'm not really thinking too much about what I'm saying. It's just habit or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that's an essential part of it. People think that you have to be a social savant to be able to do this.
Right.
Like some kind of a genius. It's important to be coherent, but there is nothing wrong with having a strong script that you tweak over time.
Well, I think you need to start with a script, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so when you start doing this, you must have a script, and that's what I started, talking about the training a little bit. Is just when you start, it's very important to have a script, and to work from that. And then as time goes on, I can't remember what the script I'm supposed to use or whatever it says, because I just blah blah blah, and it just again all falls out.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah.
Okay. So is there anything that you're doing in your positioning to make you a more welcome caller? And what I mean by that is there anything in particular that you do kind of in your preparation or your research to make you someone whom someone goes, oh yes, of course, that's Marc Didemus from Image Advantage. Or,
so this is what I'm calling them the first time?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're most interested in the
initial contact.
The initial contact, yeah.
Okay. So my wife works with me, and she's heard me do many of these calls, and she'll actually say that my voice modulation changes depending on who I'm talking to.
Okay.
I don't do it consciously.
I see. So you match their modulation, or?
So apparently, and I don't know that I do this, but when I'm speaking with a woman, I speak softer.
Huh. Makes sense.
Maybe it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's not something that I do consciously, but she picks up on it, and I do believe it is a thing that I do. I don't do it consciously.
Right.
So a couple things that I found is everybody's had a sales pitch. So your cell phone rings, or your home phone rings, like people have those anymore. But your cell phone rings, and you get a telemarketer on your cell phone, right? And they're selling insurance, or they're selling banking services.
Okay.
So a lot of times, again, I'm a sales and marketing professional. I do this for a living, and I hear those scripts coming at me from some person from some banking center or some call center, wherever it might be. And hello, my name is Bob, and do you find that you don't have enough money to go on vacation every year, or whatever the sales pitch might be, right?
Right.
And it tends to be this very monotone type of voice, and you just can tell that Bob is new at it and very unsure of what he's doing, or right. So I guess the main point that I'm trying to make here is that use a conversational tone of voice, just like we're doing right now. So possibly think that you're talking to your best friend about the football game yesterday. So that's the kind of tone of voice you want to use.
Okay.
And when you get it right, and I think the only way to do this is through experience. Your first 10 phone calls are going to be horribly awkward.
Okay.
90 to 100 are going to be better. 100 to 1,000 are going to be better, and et cetera, et cetera. But again, just use that conversational tone of voice. And when you phone them, it's a hi. Well, I'll actually do mine. Hi, my name is Marc Didemus. I'm with Image Advantage. We're a document scanning and archiving company located near Kingston, Ontario, and we offer the service of, in this case, let's say scanning of bylaws and council minutes for your municipality,
Right.
which we've done for 70 municipalities. Mm-hmm. Do you have your bylaws and council minutes scanned yet? And carry on. So conversational tone of voice. And the one thing that I've also found is that you notice there that, okay, who am I? Well, what's my name? What company do I work for? What do we do? Where are we located? And what service do we offer? Right?
Very precise.
Very precise, very to the point. Because again, people with their attention spans these days, with all the computer gaming and all that kind of stuff, is not what I think it was 20 or 30 years ago, where people would let you talk for 30 seconds with a click, right?
Yep.
I think the attention spans have shortened, so you really need to be to the point. And everybody's heard these very wordy type of, they come in with this benefit first, and how would you like more time in your life, or how would you like more money, or whatever the benefit might be, how would you like your food to taste better, whatever, right? And they come in with this big wordy benefit, and you're saying, okay, what are you trying to sell me? This, right? Click, yeah.
And isn't it true that in most cases, particularly when you're dealing with professional organizations doing B2B, that you're dealing with the gatekeeper anyway? So it's I call it the dog food principle, where the person you're talking to is not the person who's going to be consuming the product.
Oh, absolutely right. In my case, nobody. I'm always talking with the receptionist.
So your goal, you've got a receptionist there. What is your goal? What's your approach to dealing with that? Okay,
so my goal when I pick up that telephone to do that telephone marketing call, my goal is always to make an appointment with the decision maker.
Right.
Okay. So you're right. You're talking to the receptionist first, and then goes, I'm Marc Didemus with Image Advantage. We're a document scanning and archiving company located near Kingston. Mm-hmm. Who would I speak to about the scanning of your paper records?
Okay.
Or whatever it might be, whatever you're saying. Who would I speak to about this? Right?
Right.
And if your tone of voice and everything works out really nicely, that person will tell you who to talk to. Mm-hmm. Is that person available? Not right now. They're in a meeting. Okay.
Yes.
Well, could I get that person's name, please, and their extension number? And then that goes into your database, and you call them later, and they may or may not be in, but they're in your database, and they're in your hot or medium call priority list. Right. And then you call them again next week, and then you come on again until you finally get hold of the person. And then when you get hold of the person, so I guess there's two levels of that telephone marketing script: the one for the receptionist, and then the other one for the decision maker.
Okay. So let me just unpack that a little bit. So rather than trying to get around the receptionist, you're making it clear that you're offering something of essential value, and that you have a legitimate stake in what they're doing, and you just need to talk to the right person. So the receptionist is not the traditional adversary that she usually is as a gatekeeper. Deflect. She's a partner of yours, and you two are just trying to help her boss get something that he actually needs. And that shifts the paradigm.
Yeah, I've heard that term gatekeeper a lot. And so I don't have a problem, for the most part, with the receptionist not putting me in touch with the person that I need to talk to. One of the little small secret little things, whatever, that I find really helps with that is, hi, I'm Marc. I should go with the script again. Hi, I'm Marc Didemus. I'm sales and marketing manager. Blah blah blah. I wonder if you could help me. Who at your company does your records management? So those couple little words. I wonder if you can help me. Because everybody wants to help. Everybody's nice. People think they're nice.
That's part of their job, isn't it?
That's right. That's right, to help people, right? So I wonder if you could help me. Who would I talk to about that, right? And that's actually extremely powerful, right? So, do use that. And anyway, I just find that even if I don't do that, I just find that the receptionist will put me through who I want to talk to. And maybe that has something to do with being an older man and having that tone of voice, like the dad voice or whatever it might be. I don't know. But very seldom do I have the gatekeeper not put me through to who I want to talk to. Again, we're talking physical cold calling or telephone marketing. I can remember, 20 or 30 years ago where somebody would hang up on me or be rude or whatever, and that just doesn't happen anymore. Just because, again, I don't know whether it's, again, can't quantify this stuff or qualify this stuff, right? It's just, the only thing I can say is just experience, is that after you've done thousands of them, everybody's nice to you and everything works really well. Right?
And after a while, if you're doing it right, you sound like you're supposed to be there.
You don't sound like, hi, I'm Bob, I'm trying to sell you, Bob, So you're speaking conversationally and you just, exactly right. So,
So, one of the things that Zig Ziglar talked about in one of his seminars that I bought was the importance of maybe even recording yourself and listening to how you're coming across.
Right.
So if you're struggling with this, you may notice right away what it is in your voice quality or your enunciation or your tone or your pace. It'll jump right out at you, or ask your wife. She knows what all your problems are.
Exactly. Yes.
That's right.
Right. I haven't done that, but I would think it would be a good idea.
Well, some people don't have to. You've been doing it for 20 years. You're got it all figured out.
They didn't have video technology back then, so.
Exactly. Exactly. So what is your personal pattern there when you're reaching out for prospects? You've got your average 4 hours a day there. What are you going to be doing in your pattern?
Okay, very good question. So let's say I'm in the office, and it's one of my in the office days. Okay, so I have my day very well defined. Okay, so I come in at 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. My telephone marketing starts at 9:15.
9:15.
9:15.
That's very 50.
No, 9:15.
9:15.
9:15.
That's very precise.
That is precise, and that's pretty close.
Okay.
I actually do that. Right. Yeah. So that first hour and 15 minutes, you might be doing LinkedIn marketing. You might be doing building your database or whatever other sales tools that you might have to be doing, filling reports or whatever. But 9:15 rolls around, and I make telephone calls from 9:15 to 10 o'clock. Then I go shoot a game of pool.
Okay.
And then from 10:15 to 11:45, I make telephone calls.
Right.
Go for lunch. 1:15 to 3 o'clock is telephone calls. 3 o'clock, I shoot a game of pool. 3:15 to 4:15 is telephone calls. And then 4:15 to 5 is other tasks. So it is important to have those very defined hours, and don't do it for any more than an hour or an hour and a quarter or so. Do take a break, and whether you go walk your dog or do something. I've got the owner of the building, and he's a pool table, so me and him have these set times that we shoot pool.
Okay.
By the way, don't play me pool for money, because I play every day. So
there you go.
But you have to be disciplined. Where I'm going with this is you must be disciplined, right?
Okay.
Don't let other things distract you. I'm in my office, doors closed. If somebody needs to talk to me, they will talk to me, but they probably know that I'm on the phone, and they probably won't, because then you don't want to interrupt me while I'm on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. People in the office will tend to send me emails or messages or whatever. Say, please come to my office when you have time or whatever. But you have to be very disciplined, and it's really easy. Well, while you're on the phone, you've been on the phone for 45 minutes. Oh, let's look on that puppy's on YouTube or something like that.
Yes.
It's really easy, especially with social media these days on computers, and people tend to do that a lot. It's really easy to get distracted,
right?
Because it is hard. It's tough, mm-hmm. right? And it's tough to do that for an hour and a quarter, an hour and 20 minutes. But you got to stay disciplined, and you got to do it. Another thing too is let's say you're hungover. Not that you would ever. Hypothetically speaking. Might happen with me occasionally, but or you didn't hear that, Chad, right? Chad's the guy that sold the company too.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, or let's say you got a headache, or let's say you're just having a bad day.
Sure.
Right. Doesn't matter at all. Zero. You may not, that phone call that you make may not be quite as good as if you're right on your A game, right? But it's a whole lot better than not making the phone call at all.
Right.
So I find that problem that a lot of people have when they're doing telephone marketing or call calling is you're not always on your A game. There's sometimes something hurts, or you got a headache, or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You stay disciplined, you stay on it, because making that phone call is still 100% better than not making that phone call at all. It may not be as good as your A-game phone call, but it's still better than not making the phone call at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I personally found that if I'm in a streak where I'm doing a bit of sales, if I stop, it's very hard to get back to it. So, like, staying on that disciplined pattern it's way easier than starting and stopping.
Doesn't.
Of course, that doesn't phase you at all because you never start and stop.
Doesn't matter. I'm doing my firewood. I'm picking up the chainsaw. I'm fueling the chainsaw.
I love that. I love that.
Just I know. But having said that, on Monday morning, actually, I do make a to-do list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do a proposal. I have to write up a tender for this big government contract or whatever else it might be. And I say, so that government contract is Tuesday and Wednesday morning in the morning, and then later in the evening, because it's going to take 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 hours or whatever sometimes. But I do like to keep those hours from that 9:15 to 4:15 for either telephone marketing or physical cold calling or meeting with customers. So the active where, those are the only times that you can really do that with those customers. Everything outside of that is sort of off hours, and that's where the administrative stuff and those other types of things get done.
So that's going to be the free download for this episode. I'm going to create a sample of Marc's personal schedule there, so you can copy that if that's something that you feel you'd like to model.
Sure.
So I know I would. That sounds so simple.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, you just got to do it. Do it. That's the simple part. That's where people fall down. Is they get distracted, or they get emotional issues step in, and they feel that they're not confident enough to do it, or that's where things typically fall down.
Okay.
Is if you just nice and calm and smooth and cool, and if somebody's mean to you on a phone call, which will happen when you're new at it, it's really easy to just go, whatever kind of phone you have, quick, right? Somebody's mean to you, oh, boop, that's over.
Right.
And water off a duck and get on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
That's excellent. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, Jason.
So let's see here. What is our next question? So you do excellent follow-up. I know I've seen your pattern. I just watched Marc do a demonstration with one of his consulting clients on how he goes through his follow-up system, and he ranks them by high, medium, and low. So my question to you is, how do you know when to abandon a prospect when they're in your follow-up system?
When they say to you clearly that they will never, ever, ever want to use your service and have no need for your service.
And how often does that happen?
Oh, no, regularly.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, again, we do a lot of work with municipalities and health units and conservation authorities, etc. So let's talk about a municipality. I called up a municipality last week. And so we have a range of services that we can offer to a municipality. Now, they were a small municipality. They only had 3 people in the office.
Okay.
Right. So forget all the electronic records management, that high-end stuff. So really we're talking about the scanning of their bylaws and council minutes and possibly assessment rolls. And that's really all that we can offer to them, right? So I called this lady up, and the clerk of that municipality, and said, hi, Marc Didemus, we offer this service, we can scan our bylaws and council minutes. We already have our bylaws and council minutes scanned. And I said, even going back to the 1850s, those old bound books? Oh, yes, we had a company come in and do that. Good for you. Your assessment rolls, those are all digitized? Yes, we had the same company digitize all of our assessment rolls. Well, thank you very much, ma'am. You're well on the right track. Good job for you. Thank you very much. And then they are dropped. So they're still in my database, of course,
right.
But they're no longer a contact that I will follow up with.
Right.
And literally, there's nothing that we can offer to them. But if there is something that's still that we can offer to them, I don't drop them.
You do? How often would you?
Well, that's right. Would you like the scanning of your bylaws and council minutes? Well, we don't have any budget for that this year. Oh, are you thinking about doing it next year? Well, we might possibly be thinking about doing it next year. Do you mind if I follow up with you in November when you're starting to work on your budget? So you always ask them if you can follow up with them. And then the real trick, in which I find nobody does this, is you must follow up in November. If you do that, and you put them into your database, and if they say call me back, or they want you to call you back, then they're at least going to be in your hots or your mediums.
Okay.
Right? because they've already given you permission to call you back, and they may do it in 2019. So why wouldn't you call them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But do call them. That's where I find a lot of other salespeople. Like they'll say, you say, well, can I call you back? And then they don't do it, which again is another place where you can fall down.
Right.
So you got to make sure if you say you're going to follow up, then you do follow up. And if you just remember when we were looking at our database and some of the clients that I had made sales to, is I have a history of all of the calls that I made. And as you can see, the ones, there was some that I'd made sales to, and there was 10 calls leading up to that final sale.
Okay.
So that's all. And the way my wife puts it is, I just beat them over the head with a bat until they succumb.
Right.
And it's true. It's true. You just no. Okay then.
Right.
Yeah. So you just keep following up.
For the new telephone salesperson listening to this, they may listen to that and say, it's not in my nature to hound people. But it's not, again, just to unpack this for you, because I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
You're not hounding them. You're acknowledging the fact that you don't know always what their cycle of consumption will be, when they're going to be ready, and you're simply reasserting in the most gentle way possible that you are still ready.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a couple things is that, you want to be there when they're ready to make the decision.
Right.
Right? So a number of ways to be there is with telephone marketing, and there's also LinkedIn marketing. There's other avenues of ways that you can put your presence in front of them, so that when they do make a decision, they think of your company. With branding, there's all these types of things. But we're talking about telephone marketing right now.
Of course.
So when I call that person, and we talked about Zig Ziglar previously, one of Zig Ziglar's the most famous motto that sticks in my mind is never sell anything to anybody unless you think you're doing them a favor by doing that.
That's brilliant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know, I know more about municipal records management than these people I'm calling by far.
Right.
Right. So when I call this person and they don't have their bylaws and council minutes scanned, there's actually laws that says that they have to. Now, I don't beat them over the head with this, but I know I'm doing them a favor by digitizing their bylaws and council minutes and assessment rolls. There's the permanent records of municipality, and that municipal clerk is legally liable for those records.
Okay.
They can be sued personally. It's now Bill 8, anyways, new Canadian laws.
Right.
They can be sued personally if those records are destroyed, or if they are not able to service those records to the public.
So it's useful.
Right. So I know them. I'm doing them a favor. And I just stay on them until they do. But I don't beat them over the head with that.
To me, it should be a wonderful way as maybe a nervous salesperson to reflect on what it is that I'm doing that serves the customer in a way that he absolutely has to, in a way that benefits him.
Yes.
And no questions asked.
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to work through my nervousness, and if I shift away from focusing on my nervousness and think about the actual service I'm providing to someone who desperately needs it.
Yes.
No ambulance driver in the history of the world has ever shown up at someone's house and tentatively knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Because he's there to perform an essential service.
That's right.
And so if you understand and recognize how your offering is an essential service,
yes,
it gets much easier.
Yeah, because there's something, for example, I wouldn't sell something that I didn't believe in.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, let's say that there's a car brand. Let's say I'm a car salesman.
Right.
And I don't believe in the car brand. Well, I just don't think you could be successful.
No.
Right. Prior to starting Image Advantage, I was a photocopier salesman. By the way, if you want to learn how to do sales, become a photocopier salesman for 10 years. That'll teach you fast.
I'll bet.
And you're not a photocopier salesman for 10 years unless you are a good salesman. So,
right.
But I did believe in the company, and I believed in their product.
Okay.
Prior to that, I worked for Tandy Computers. I believed, way back when, I believed in that computer.
Yep.
I thought it was a really good computer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if you believe in what you're offering, and that comes out in your voice, then that's also something that's very beneficial. Something that really help you with your task.
So another maybe tell, if you're nervous about phone sales, you may want to do some reflection and say, how deeply do I believe in the thing that I'm selling, or am I just selling another widget?
Yeah, if you're just there as a salesperson, just trying to make money, trying to make a living, nothing wrong with making a living, right?
Right.
But if you don't believe in your product, then you need to find another product to sell, or go find another career.
Right.
Because you shouldn't do that. If you don't believe in what you're selling, then you're just. I could think of some words in my head.
Yeah.
But probably won't say them.
There's nowhere left to go, really.
Yeah. So find another career. Yeah.
That's it. So I'm all about self-improvement. What have you done to improve the quality of your outreach when you're making phone calls?
Practice, I guess, because I really, again, like picking up the chainsaw, right? Like,
gotcha.
What do I do when I pick the chainsaw to be better at putting gas into it?
Right.
Nothing. You just do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, I asked you this.
I don't read books on this, or I don't. Yeah. I listen to people a lot.
Okay.
But I don't. I tell you honestly, I don't know of anybody that's better than me at telephone marketing. So people might give me some input or whatever, this or that. But
right.
Yeah. But I got my game down.
Okay.
It's not going to get any better.
Sure. Yeah, no, and I get what you said. Yeah. You're in a very rarefied business too. That's different. It's not one where you can go out and get a book specifically on selling your particular product and service.
Correct.
Because you're in a very tight niche. So the message I think to take away from this for our listeners is that you may be in an area, or you may not be, where you have a very specific niche product that you're bringing to market. And like Mark, there may be guidelines and principles. I know you read Zig Ziglar.
Yes.
It's a good place to start.
I did once.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't read a lot of marketing books.
There you go.
Which I know a lot of people do,
but you have a growth mindset, and you're iteratively improving the quality of your outreach.
Yes.
By experimentation and practice.
Yeah. So when it comes to physical cold calling or telephone marketing, I don't think there's anybody that I can't read a book that's going to tell me how to do that better than I'm already doing it.
Okay.
I've just done so many of them, and I really got that down to a science myself. But that doesn't mean that I'm not always learning. Mm-hmm. And as you know, that I've recently improved my skills in digital marketing. Right. For example, search engine optimization and social media marketing and those types of things, and I think I'm also quite good at those. So it's important to keep learning, but when it comes down to telephone marketing and cold calling, I don't think there's many people around that can tell me much about that. Gotcha. But that doesn't mean that I can't always be learning and improving my skills as the sales and marketing manager of Image Advantage. Because if you do sit still, especially in this fast-moving world of sales, you're dead meat.
Right.
So you can't sit still. You always got to be and I'm always, again, by the way, we just had a meeting of the Kingston Sales and Marketing Club here, and it's a meeting of the sales and marketing professionals in Ontario. Many of them are social media marketing experts, and I'm always picking their brains about, Instagram. Do you find Instagram useful? Or Twitter. We actually talked about Twitter just a little while ago. Mm-hmm. I don't use Twitter. It's not useful for me. But many organizations it would be, right? So I'm always thinking that there's that one sales skill or that one sales technique out there that I'm just missing the boat on. And that's a good mindset to have.
Absolutely.
Right? So that you're always trying to find that one thing that you're just not doing, or that one skill that you can improve. But with me, it's not going to be telephone marketing or cold calling. It's going to be one of the more digital skills.
Right.
Or some new thing that comes out. Because again, especially with the younger crowd these days, there's so many platforms, social media platforms.
Yeah.
And you might remember as a search engine, Alta Vista.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Where's Alta Vista now?
Right.
Right. So Facebook may be, especially with the way things are going these days for Facebook. So Facebook might be the next one that, somebody, a new tween or whatever says, what's Facebook? Mm-hmm. Right? So the platforms are always changing with social media, and then you always have to make sure that you're on the front edge of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you spending the time with me.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Okay.
This has been the Zero Noise Marketing Show. Connecting with the right prospects in an authentic way doesn't have to be complicated. If you think authentic, zero-noise marketing might be right for your business, find out for sure by contacting us for a free consultation session. We can be reached at 613-379-3051. You might be eligible for a complimentary test campaign. I'm Jason Tanner. Thanks for tuning in.